we'll have a few people who are filtering in the next couple minutes, but I just want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for coming to our Phenology Week, end of the week gratitude party, where we just really wanted to celebrate the accomplishments of our observers and our local phenology programs and everyone who participated in Phenology Week. We just really appreciate everyone joining us for this. This is not the first Phenology Week we've done, but this is kind of one where we're coming back from all the madness in the past few years and would really like to make this an annual event. And so we just really appreciate everyone who's been joining us throughout this time. So thank you all for being here. My name is Samantha Brewer. I'm the Volunteer Engagement Coordinator for the USA National Phenology Network. And I'm joined here by Aaron Posthumus, and Nathan Acosta is going to be here as well at the end of the presentation to talk about some of our really exciting future plans that we've got for the network. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. As I'm presenting, you guys feel free to put in questions in the chat for the Q of A so that we can get everyone's questions organized so that we can answer them at the end. And for people who will be joining us via the recording, we'll be able to see the questions that you guys are asking. And while I get started though, I would love if you could put in the chat where you're joining with us from today, and maybe even how long you've been observing with Nature's Notebook. If you do, are there any plants or animals that you have observed? Maybe some observations that you've had recently, because the spring equinox occurred here in the Northern Hemisphere this week, and some of us are seeing signs of spring. I'm also seeing a lot of pictures of snow, so you might be in one of our snowy areas. And I even got a message from Australia this morning on Instagram, and they just had their autumn equinox. So if you've got autumn photos, if you're on the Southern Hemisphere, you can feel free to share those with us or share about what you're seeing as well. So what I'm going to go over in our presentation today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the USA National Phenology Network. Earlier this week, Aaron had just a lovely presentation just about us and about how our organization has grown in the last 15 years, because this year is our 15-year anniversary. But I'll do a little bit about our background. I'm going to talk about some of our campaigns and some of the local phenology programs and highlight some of our top observers for some of our campaigns this last year. I'm going to do some observer recognitions for some of our top observers and also longest running observers. We're going to announce our 2022 Pheno Champion Awards and the local phenology program who won our Pheno Champion Award. A little bit about our annual report and where you'll be able to find that. And then I'm also going to talk about our local phenology program surveys. So every year we ask our local phenology programs ways that we can better help them. And so we're going to talk about some of the survey results, a little bit of a recap of what we went over with Phenology Week, and to share some of the Phenology Week posts for those of you who shared the hashtag Phenology Week. I'm going to share some of the pictures that you've sent us. And then at the end of the program, we're going to talk about some of our plans for 2023. So a little bit about the USA National Phenology Network. We were established in 2007, right? So we've been around for 15 years. And over this time, observers and local phenology programs and volunteers from all across the country have come together, and they've submitted over 30 million phenology records that are freely available for researchers or anyone who's curious about phenology or seasonal changes to be able to use so that we can better understand seasonal changes in the plants and animals around us. And what's so cool about being around for 15 years is long-term data sets are so important for phenology and understanding phenological changes, right? Because, if we just go out and we're like, oh, look, what's my tree doing right now? That's a great picture of what's going on in the moment. But if we want to look at long-term trends or see patterns, it's really important to be able to monitor these plants and animals over time for several years. And just the dedication of our observers in doing that and collecting so many records has just been overwhelming and just so wonderful. And we just really appreciate all of you and what you've been able to contribute to this program. With that being said, too, with these records, once again, they're freely available, and there have been over 100 peer-reviewed publications that have used data collected through Nature's Notebook, right? And I get that question a lot, right, from our volunteers and our program leaders is like, oh, who's using this data, right? And what's wonderful about it is when you're collecting data, you can collect data that's valuable to you, right? And what's important to you and your community and the natural world around you. And when everyone contributes these data, they all come together, and researchers are able to use it to look at the larger patterns that are going on across the country. And yeah, over 100 peer-reviewed publications using that data is just incredible. So researchers really do value the data that you're contributing. And even if you just observe one plant in your yard, that's still one piece of the larger puzzle in figuring out some of these patterns. So everything you do is just so important and valuable, and we just really appreciate you participating in this program. There are over 25,000 active Nature's Notebook observers, which is also just incredible, once again, across the country. And we've grown so much to having over, I put an extra zero, but the comma's in the right spot, right? There's over 1,700 plants and animal species that are available to observe with Nature's Notebook. And every year we grow that list so that there's more diversity and availability in the plants that are available to observe and animals that are available to observe. And then we also have over 400 active local phenology programs across the country too, which are places where you'll usually have a local phenology leader, and they can organize volunteers or students or bring communities together to help with these observations so that you can get these long-term data sets. And so we really appreciate all of our local phenology programs and all the work that the leaders put into organizing those and keeping their programs alive and growing and learning. So thank you all so much. And I want to do a shout out too for our incredible team of staff and students who we wouldn't be able to have this program alive and working without them as well. I'm not going to list everybody, we've listed everybody, but this week, so many of them have kind of given me some pictures of them observing and being out and present in nature. And it's just been really fun learning about everything that they've been observing and seeing everyone having a good time. All of us here at the office have just really enjoyed seeing all of your participation and your contributions. So we really appreciate all of you and your efforts. I want to talk about some of our top campaign highlights that we had last year. So with Nature's Notebook, right, you can collect data on the plants and animals that are in your communities that are valuable to you, right? And sometimes it's like, well, where's this data going to go, right? And so in some cases, you may be collecting data and a researcher may not be using it yet, but you'd never know down the line who may be looking for that sort of data. So having that long-term data is just incredibly valuable. But we do also have research-funded campaigns where we do have specific researchers who have specific science-related questions that can be answered through collecting data with Nature's Notebook that so many of you have been participating in across the country. And I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the local phenology programs. We send out regular campaign messages with these campaigns. So if Erin, you want to put a link to our campaigns in the chat, if you're interested in participating in any of these campaigns, there's also additional campaigns that I didn't really get the opportunity, or I didn't get to include in here, but these are some of the ones where I just really wanted to put out some mentions. But if you would like to participate them, lots of our backyard observers, our individual observers are contributing to these campaigns as well. But I just want to give a shout out for the Quercus Quest campaign. So in this campaign, we have researchers who are looking for patterns in like flowering and leafing out of oak species across the eastern United States. And so we've got some local phenology programs that have contributed a tremendous amount of data to this program. So I wanted to give a shout out to Meredith College, Earthwise Aware, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Crosby Farm Park Association, and MAC, Mount Auburn Cemetery citizen scientists who have contributed so much Quercus Quest data, and we just really appreciate you guys and all the other programs. I can't like put in all the programs and all the people who contributed to these, but there's so many. But I just want to give out the top 5. Thank you guys so much for your contributions to the Quercus Quest project. We also have, this campaign is called Flowers for Bats. So this campaign is one that's near and dear to my heart, being here in Tucson. It's kind of a Southwest localized campaign also Phoenix and other parts of Arizona and the Sonoran Desert. And basically you have lesser long-nosed bats, which are a migrating bat species, and they eat nectar. And specifically, as they're migrating up north, they really need the nectar from flowering like cactus and agave species. We'll have these big white flowers that are placed really up high, that are specifically meant to attract bats as they're migrating through. And the bats are so vital for helping pollinate these species and making sure that their survival is ensured. So researchers would like to know with this campaign is, when are those flowering cactus available? So when is nectar available for the bats? When are these cactus and agave flowering? And is that still matching with the timing of the bats flying through? Because if the timing of the flowers are not aligned with the timing of the bat migration, there's not enough food available for those bats. So we're trying to see when those matches are occurring. I really want to give a shout out to McDowell Sonoran Conservancy Phenology Trails have submitted an incredible amount of data for flowers for bats. Tohono Chul, so Tohono Chul has a self-guided phenology walk and also walks with their docents. So thank you Tohono Chul for your contributions. Canada del Oro Riverfront Park Phenology Trail has contributed a lot of data for flowers of bats. Thank you so much. West Lambert Lane Park as well, thank you. And Leslie Canyon National Wildlife Refuge have all been contributing to helping us better understand the nectar availability for these bat species. So thank you all so much for your efforts. I also want to give a shout out for, this one is for Nectar Connectors. So Nectar Connectors is a really fun program. There's a lot of different flowering species that are available to observe. And what we're looking, or what researchers are looking for with this campaign, is seeing when nectar is available for migrating pollinator species. So with flowers for bats, it's kind of that focus on those lesser long-nosed bat species. Here, it's a lot of different pollinator species, especially monarchs. As monarchs go through their migration, they need to be able to refuel so they can get to the next landing space and have their caterpillars, and they can grow up and then move on with that next generation of monarchs as they move north through their migrations. And then back south to Mexico afterwards, they need fuel for that journey as well. So with our Nectar Connectors campaign, I just want to give a shout out to Mohonk Preserve, who's been a top observer in this campaign, or top local phenology program in this campaign for a while now. Earthwise Aware again, thank you guys so much. You get mentioned again in one of these campaigns. Vassar College as well, thank you so much for your contributions. Arlington Regional National Monument and Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge, thank you all so much for contributing to our Nectar Connectors campaign, and so many backyard observers, and especially for those of you like who may be wondering for your pollinator gardens what flowers to plant, and you're able to look at what's available in Nature's Notebooks, so that not only are you able to plant your gardens, but you're able to see like what's available for migrating species and how your gardens are able to help those species. Is just really incredible. So thank you all so much for those efforts. And then we have the Red Bud Phenology program. So with this program, researchers are looking for patterns in leaf out and flowering for redbud trees. We had Eastern redbud last year was the main species, and then we added Western redbud this year. So if you have a Western redbud, you can now monitor your redbud species for this campaign. I finally saw my very first redbud tree. It was very exciting. There was a few of them on the U of A campus, and I like lost it. It was so beautiful. And some of you guys on the East Coast are like, yeah, we know that, but it was very new to me, and I can see the appeal of these plants. They're just so gorgeous. So special thank you to Morton Arboretum, Daniel Stowe Botanical Garden, Meredith College, Salisbury University, and New York Botanical Garden Living Collections. Thank you so much for observing these trees so that we can better understand their phenology, and we really appreciate that. And then I want to mention too some of our all-time top observers. So we actually do have a leaderboard, and Erin, if you get a chance while I'm mentioning this, guys, if you want to throw our leaderboard up there, we do have a leaderboard for all-time top observers, and I don't recall, I think we might have them for monthly top observers as well. So you guys can check the leaderboards and see where you stand. You can look at your own observations in your observation deck and see if if you have that little bit of competitive spirit and want to see yourself on the top observers, you're welcome to do so. I didn't put anyone's actual names on here, without permission, because this is what we have posted on there for everyone to see. But I wanted to give a shout out if you know your your username, and you can see yourself up here, like give yourself a round of applause. And I also posted like the number of observations that they've contributed. And once again, this is all time, but that top one, the I Am Too Hall at Tennessee, 142,474 phenology observations, which is just incredible. Manistee with 111,000, Dallas with 58,000 observations, Richard Redmond with 39,000. Oh, I'm not going to say your whole name there, but you know who you are, GSG, but 34,000 observations. Thank you so much. Cedar Creek is 30,000. Hans with 29,000. iHome is 29. LLNF intern. Oh, you got some interns observing. We appreciate that. And they're doing a lot of work with 26,000 observations. Christine with 26,000 as well. Hogan, 25. Carrie Coop has 21,000 observations. D. Gregg with 20,000, and then the Pepperwood Phenology program with 19,000 observations. So just thank you all. Like, that's an incredible amount of observations, right? So this is all through time. So you may have several plants, or you may have been observing for many, many years, but thank you so much for contributing so much data so that we can better understand phenology, and just the dedication to taking those trips or going outside and taking the time to observe your plants and animals. It's just really incredible. So thank you. I'm also going to mention some of our longtime observers. So once again, the local Phenology Network has been around for 15 years, and we started off real, as everything does, right? We start off small, and we've had some observers that have been observing for nearly this entire time, and we just really want to recognize some of those longtime observers. We've got T. Crimmins. So Teresa, been observing here with us for 13 years. Joe Keefe, Skydoc, and KKL Stevenson, and Linda White. All of you have been observing with us for 13 years. So just thank you so much for that long-term data set that you guys are contributing, which is just so important for understanding these patterns. And then 14 years, we had a lot with the 14 years, right? So we had a big bump of observers, and you've been staying with us for a long time, so thank you. MDS, Cedar Creek, Charles, RB Patterson, K-Bomb, Jerry P, Marge Schwartz, N Spotter, G Meyer, Kelly B, Balua Pearl, PW Mayer, Lemon for Joy. Oh, I like that, Lemon for Joy. I don't know if that's how you meant to pronounce it, but I like it. Joan, Alyssa Rose Martin. Hey, hi, Alyssa. Thank you. C.O. Campbell, Mar JJ, H. Pylon, Kulau, Zavalam, Jay Shoen, Hans, and Erin. Thank you, Erin. Observing us for 14 years. And I just want to do a shout out too, because we've got some of the people who still work with us today, who have been here for nearly the entire time. So it's just incredible, and a testimonial to how much everyone who works here too just believes in this program and our mission and our values, and the importance of this data and this program. So thank you all so much. And then for 15 years, so people have been observing since the very, very, very beginning. Oh, we've got Ellen. So Ellen has been with us since the beginning. So thank you so much, Ellen Denny. C.W. Nielsen, T. Droach, 2N Forsyth. Oh, GSG, I already said your name earlier. I'll do the whole thing this time, why not? But GSG 1987 CCCC. Thank you so much for observing with us for 15 years. And I Am Too Hall. Thank you as well. She sent me some beautiful pictures earlier this week, and just really appreciate the words she had and dedication to this project, and just thank you all. 15 years is incredible. So that's such a commitment and such an important contribution to science, and just thank you all so much. So this week with Phenology Week, we shared a few testimonials via social media that we reached out to some of our top observers and just said, hey, can you just tell us a little bit about like why you've been observing so much and why this program is important to you, right? Because if you just went out there and you're just like entering data for a tree that you don't really know and you don't really have a purpose for doing so, right? It's hard to stay motivated, but when you've been observing so much and for so long, like you really do build these connections with the natural world around you in your area, and you build community and you make friends. And there's just so much that we can learn and see from just stepping outside and making observations. And it's interesting because it's one thing when you're entering data, right? But you're not just entering data, you're learning about your plants and you're getting to know your plants, and you're finding out what you know and what you don't know. And maybe you've noticed interactions that those plants are having with other plants or with the animals around them that you never would have seen before if you hadn't been looking so closely and thinking about the little tiny changes that they're continuously making year to year to year. So from Kathy Bird, one of her quotes that I really enjoyed was how amazing it was one day last fall to see simultaneously a bird passing through my yard and one of its relatives on a live bird can thousands of miles away. So she had like bird cams as well as seeing what's in her yard. Such experiences deepen and enrich the meaning of my life in relation to my earth home and all of its beings, and make observations for Nature's Notebook all the more fun and rewarding. And that's just incredible. So thank you so much, Kathy. With Carrie Coop, I started observing because I have an interest in phenology and the cooperative nature of plants and animals through evolution. I observe many plants and animals who have a special interest in lichens, mosses, and fungi, which, yeah, I know that like we've had some people ask like, what? Yeah, fungi, and maybe that could be like a future thing, but it's really cool to see, like, because lichens, mosses, and fungi are such like just tiny, tiny organisms that we don't often notice, and being able to see those and their little interactions that they're having, like little to us, right? But to them, it's their whole world. And so noticing those interactions is just wonderful. From Byron, it enhances my casual observations as now I keep count of what I see and make sure I remember to record it at the end of each day. It is a routine for me that I enjoy and do every day, and is my contribution to science each and every day. And I just love that, right? Just taking a little time at the end of our crazy days sometimes to be able to just pause and observe nature and make those connections. I love that, so thank you. And then from Lance, there are many more bugs and bushes I haven't identified, which I love. The more I learn about the natural world, the more I realize I really just don't know everything about it, right? But I look forward to many more years of this and bringing more people into it. So yes, thank you, Lance. I love that. Just when you're knowing what you don't know and what you want to identify, it's just wonderful. And then I also want to announce our Pheno Champion Awards. So every year, we reach out to our local phenology leaders and ask them about, what are ways that we can help your program? What have you learned? What would you like to share with others? But we also invite them, if they've been observing for 2 or more years, to apply for our Pheno Champion Awards, where we like to recognize just phenomenal programs that really bring their communities together and have education programs, or reach out and help other people understand phenology and what's going on in their communities and what's going on in the natural world around them. And so this year we really wanted to recognize Washington Square Park Eco Projects for our 2023 Pheno Champions. They sent us just a beautiful testimonial with some quotes from their students that they work with this project. And I wanted to read those out to you all. But Washington Square Park Eco Projects have set up an easy system to make anyone feel a part of their community and their project. Through participation in the portal, I felt I was able to contribute to a larger environmental study and provide assistance to current research. So that's great to hear. I appreciate that. And it's really cool. Someone else, another student said, it's really cool being a citizen scientist. Nature's Notebook is easy to navigate, and I've learned more about different factors that impact tree phenology. So wonderful education tool. Thank you all so much. Erin, if you are able to, I don't know if you have yet or not, because I can't see the chat, but yeah, thank you. If you guys want to check out Washington Square Eco Projects and what they've been doing, I invite you to check out their website and follow them on social media. They post a lot, and they post just beautiful flowers. Have been posting recently, I've been seeing on Instagram. So they're a wonderful group, and I encourage you to learn more about the work that they do. We have also released our 2023 annual reports. So if Erin wants to put that in the chat. So every year, we put out a report where we kind of highlight some of the contributions that people have, contributions people have contributed, but what you guys have contributed to the program, highlighting some of the special research that occurs or some of the special local phenology programs, but just ways that us, the USA National Phenology Network, are working towards, enhancing understanding and creating connections and creating an equitable environment, and ways that we're achieving those goals or working towards those goals every year, because us as an organization are also always wanting to learn and grow and improve, and make this program available and accessible to more and more people and organizations and groups, so that we can all come together to help us all as like a national community learn about what's going on in the world around us. A few of the numbers that I want to put in there, because it's always fun to say the numbers of what you've all contributed, but yeah, 37,000 active observers, and of all time we've had 25,000, which is just incredible. 39 million records, 6 data products that we've contributed to this program, which is wonderful, and then 16 publications which were published last year using the data, and which is amazing. Thank you. We've also wanted to mention our local phenology programs, and 20 more local phenology leaders that we've certified out of 188 of our local phenology certification programs. So thank you all who participate in that program as well. And then also we released our annual survey results. So once again, like I mentioned, we like to reach out to our local phenology programs to see how we can better support them, because we don't want you guys to be just like, all right, you're starting a program, you're contributing data, and good luck out there, right? We want you to have successful programs, and we want you to reach out to people, and we want you to really be able to grow with your organizations and your schools, and have this program as a tool that you can use for education or making management decisions, or being able to support the mission of your program. And that's one thing I love about Nature's Notebook, is it's so versatile. It's not like, okay, this is the exact only way that you're able to do this. Individual programs in whatever is their background in their communities across the United States are able to kind of mold it and use it in a way that's best used for them in their communities and their programs. So I just really enjoy that. And this year we received 81 responses, which is great. If any of you have ever put out surveys before, sometimes you don't always get as many responses as you like, but 81 is just incredible. Like, that was so much participation, and we're just always floored, and we love seeing your responses, and the comments that you had to say especially. We asked some questions like, which available tools did you use in 2022? The visualization tool was the top tool used, and that's wonderful, because our visualization tool is just such a neat way that anyone, actually, Erin, if you want to put in a link for the Viz tool, that people can find that if they want to, you can play with the Viz tool, and you can see how your data are being used. You can see where other people are observing the same plants or animals that you are across the country. You can look at major patterns of when are the phenophases arriving. You can even look at our spring index maps on the visualization tool, because spring conditions have been moving north across the country over the past few weeks. And so you can see where spring's showing in your area and how that compares to other years. But by far the visualization tool is what was able to be used the most. The local phenology program dashboard, this is an incredible tool where local phenology leaders can manage seeing their volunteer engagement, because when we have that data to see how many times our volunteers were returning, how we're engaging with our volunteers, it can help us make decisions so that we can improve volunteer retention. We can see like where are some challenges in getting some volunteers. Wintertime can sometimes be a little challenging because not a lot happens, but there's still ways we can engage with our volunteers. The Phenology Observation Portal, where you're able to download our phenology data and filter through like the information, specifically what you're looking for. Our botany primer was really useful, and that's wonderful to hear. I love the botany primer, especially if you're new to plants, which I was when I first started here. I was a bird person, and plants were kind of like the things that birds lived in. But the botany primer has helped a lot in like understanding a lot of what's going on with the plants and the biology of the plants and how that relates to phenology, and how do I identify these leaves and breaking leaf buds. It's an incredible resource. We do have a free PDF available so that all of you can have access to our primer. Nature's Notebook activities and curricula, it's wonderful to hear. We work really hard to, and other people have contributed activities that people can learn about phenology. We've got some how-to videos using the Observer Certification course and program planning materials. So it was just nice to see what tools that we have that people are able to use to support their programs. And we're also hoping always to grow and improve, right? So we kind of look at like, what's your level of satisfaction with communication, ease of resources, navigating the website, the app, the quality of the resources, and the amount of resources, right? So there's some ways that we can definitely improve and grow, and this is a good way to help us see like where we can focus some of our efforts. But we were really happy to see that that these tools were able to be useful to people and that they were able to utilize them. And then we always look for ways that we can offer more support. One of the biggest ones is how to analyze the data, right? So we provide a lot of tools where you can visualize the data and download the data, but it's one thing to like see what's going on, but really doing some statistical analysis, if you don't practice it, it can be really tricky knowing which statistics test to use. This was actually a top kind of mentioned last year as well, and it is something that we're working on. We want to make some learning modules like going into the going into the future to help support local phenology programs being able to easily analyze their data and come up with conclusions for what they're finding, especially some of these programs who've been collecting data for many, many years. You're starting to get those patterns and you want to see like what the meaning of some of those patterns are. Creating annual reports for additional support. Yes, so we have an annual report guide, but I do think that it can use a little love. And so we want to, the annual report is an amazing tool because when you're doing your local phenology program and you want to summarize, like, what have we learned this year, right? For your stakeholders, your volunteers, perhaps your donors, right? Or if you're looking for grant funding opportunities, being able to summarize what you found is really important. And it's really important to be able to do that. And like some of us aren't familiar with writing reports like this, right? So we like to be able to provide a guide to help people to be able to create reports, be able to see which visualizations will help convey their message, and be able to communicate the amazing work that their teams and volunteers have done for their program. Volunteer recruitment, it is a thing, right? Where you're bringing in volunteers. Like, what are some ways that we can bring in more volunteers and engage with them and teach them about this amazing program and what we're doing, and finding ways that members of our community can contribute in these projects. And connecting with other LPPs is another thing I hear a lot, right? How can I find other local phenology programs in my area and connect with them so we can compare what's going on, right? If you have two neighboring local phenology programs who are both looking at Quercus quest species, right, and kind of comparing how different spots in maybe their state or their region are seeing differences in phenology. And then program planning as well. I'm glad that it wasn't too much for additional support, because we do try to provide support for that. But knowing that there are places where I think we can provide additional support or kind of some new ways of supporting, I think is really exciting. And then I wasn't able to put every single comment. We got a lot of comments, which is just wonderful, but some big patterns that I saw was data analysis, right? All right, well, yep, we are got to figure out, or we're working on that to figure out ways that we can help support you with data analysis. Online group workshops, yes, right? We do have monthly calls, but maybe some more specific workshops for how to do specific, like how to specifically find visualizations that might be helpful for you. I think that's a wonderful idea. We had a couple of comments of don't be afraid to have fun. Like, remember, like, yes, it's one thing when you're doing data and it's, collecting that data, but what's important is your connections and that you enjoy it and that you have that personal fulfillment from making these observations. So don't forget to have fun and really look at and appreciate all the amazing efforts that you've done for your program. And then there were just so many words of thanks, and it's like, oh, thank you guys for saying thank you, but you're the ones on the ground, like all of you here, the personal observers, the local phenology program observers, like everyone who's contributing data to Nature's Notebook. You guys are the ones who are on the ground making this happen, and it couldn't be done without you. So I was like, no, I want to thank you for all of your efforts, and we really appreciate you. A little recap of what we've done with Phenology Week. So some of you may have been following along with us all week. We've got some of these videos on our YouTube channel that we've recorded. On Monday we looked at 15 years of Nature's Notebook and how our organization has grown through this time. We had an amazing researcher Q&A on, I think it was that was so many days ago, right? But it was on Tuesday, right, where we had some of the researchers who are using your data come in and talk to us about how they're able to use it, and it was just wonderful. It was great hearing their stories and how they're able to use that data that you're contributing. Teresa Crimmins had her plant side chat where she talked a little bit more about some of the research that's been done using your Nature's Notebook data. And then we also had an in-person event at the Crutch Garden where we were able to get together and see some of our observers here in Tucson. And we kind of got together with some of our students who came along, which we really appreciate. We did some watercolor painting. We had some snacks. We looked at some beautiful blooms in the garden here at the University of Arizona. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it and would like to do more of those in-person events as possible. And then we had our hashtag Phenology Week, and we had some people on social media who came along and were telling us about some of their stories. I won't be able to read all of these because I want to be able to move on. I realize I did a lot of words this morning, but I just want to show you guys some of the amazing posts that we had. If you want to look up hashtag Phenology Week, you can see some of these yourself. But like I said, we had some like winter observations still, even though the spring equinox has happened. We had people seeing buds and new blooms and new leaves coming out across the country, which was just wonderful. And thank you for sharing those photos. Neon, one of our partners who contributes like so much to this program, wrote just a phenomenal blog about the USA National Phenology Network and what we've accomplished, and what they have accomplished too and contributed to this data has just been incredible. It's been a wonderful partnership, and we just really appreciate them taking the time to write about the program and their experiences and the research that's being done. So if you don't follow Neon, I recommend it. They have a lot of wonderful posts that I see on social media. I also got a video, some spring videos. There was one of a bee earlier that I didn't manage to get a screenshot for that one, but Fen in Town Gardens posted just the sweetest robin that she went outside and observed that was taking a bath, and she was being so careful to not disturb it, but I did get a little like flustered, but then it went back to it. It was a great little video. And just a couple great comments. We got a comment from Australia, which was wonderful to see. Thinking about International Phenology Week, which I'm not gonna lie, in the future that would be amazing, and especially connecting with some of the phenology networks across the world. Right? There's we're the USA National Phenology Network, but many other countries across the world have their own phenology networks as well, and it's wonderful to see the work that they do. And then also from Ranger Harles at Boston Harbor. They're just beginning their phenology effort and introducing their volunteers to Phenology in Nature's Notebook. So we really appreciate you guys who are just starting, right? We talk a lot about the longtime observers, but welcome so much to everybody who's new or everyone who's new this week. We appreciate you being here. And now I'm going to hand it over to Nathan Acosta, who is our web developer, and he's going to talk about some of the really exciting plans that we have, hopefully coming up, or I'm anticipating coming up this year, but he's going to talk about some of the changes that you guys might be seeing to Nature's Notebook here in the future. So I'm going to stop my screen sharing and I'm going to hand it over to Nathan.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we're excited to share some of the changes that we're planning to do with our website. Let me just share my screen here real quick. Oh, share screen. There we go. So I guess this is the first preview we'll be showing off. We're doing some exciting changes and pretty big changes actually to the site. And hopefully those who are familiar with the website won't struggle too much. We're just basically improving the workflow and the navigation of how people access the wonderful information we were just talking about. So yeah, this is the new website landing page. You'll see that a lot of the same elements that we had before are still here. People can access the news here, see the publication summaries that we have. And yeah, just basically the same information, but just in a nicer and neater way to show it. One of the exciting new tools we're releasing is we were just talking about a lot of the local phonology programs that we have. So this is our new local phonology program map tool. So we'll be able to see all the LPPs in an area. And let's say, for example, I want to see where the Washington, like our Pheno champions are. I can access that here. And we'll have different filters for categories and stuff like that. And it's still a work in progress, so it'll be more robust and people will be able to access just the information here and I don't know, just get a glance of the different LPPs in your area. Right now it's loading pretty slowly. So yeah, it's just an improvement, I guess, for people to be more familiar with the LPPs in their area and yeah, just having access to that information. And like we were saying, if you see LPP near you, you can either join it or partner with them if you're an LPP as well. Another tool we have for LPPs is we have an education resources. So Sam has been working on a lot of these resources and we just want to make them available for you. So this is a better view of how to access them. We also have filters. We can filter by grade level. And an exciting part is we're also translating a lot of these to Spanish to make them more accessible to a wider range of people. So it's just a nicer way to access all this information that we already had. And yeah, I guess it's just a great improvement to the website, which hopefully it's coming soon. Another exciting change we want to share is just with the observation deck. Like you can see, we still have the same awesome information about our partners and the Nature's Notebook tool. Let me just quickly log in here. We are also making changes to the observation deck here. And it's the same spirit. We just want to make the information we already have for you be more accessible. There's no crazy changes here, just showing our milestone, hopefully to motivate people to reach the goal faster. And we have this new tab system. So for example, here you have access to your same old observation deck where you can make your observations, select your sites. But we have this new tab system I was mentioning. So we have learning resources. Here you can access the learning side for the observer certification course. Also access to the FAQ here that we've also reworked, and it has a neater way to search by category or even like keywords here. So if you have questions about your site selection, species, or just general observation questions, it's all in here and much easier to access. And yeah, we have access to the calendar. Right now it's not gonna load because showing off. We have this tab as well for showing the LPPs you're part of, and the other one is our badges. So hopefully this encourages to see you just the other badges we have available. Tells you how you can earn them, and yeah, you can keep unlocking them as you go. And yeah, hopefully this just makes the website much better for everyone. And I guess I'll share a little Easter egg for those who are watching here. Here you can highlight over your sprig here with our goldfinch here, and it will tell you your observer ID. Just a little, I guess, Easter egg to share. And I guess that's all I had. I don't know if you wanted to share something else, Sam.
So I just want to really give Nathan the shout out, him and Jeff and everyone on the team has just but they have worked so hard to make these website changes so that it's more, like he said, it's more accessible. It's easier to find your data, it's easier to ask questions and access some of the materials and navigate so that we can and, you know, make it easier for new observers who are joining, but also like have a lot of the same features that so many of us have been are used to and have been using, because you don't want to make too many big changes, but hopefully it's a lot of quality of life improvements for everyone who wants to learn about us and who have been observing with us and who will be new to observing with us. So we're really excited about that. Right now we're doing a lot of internal testing and tweaking to make sure that when we go through our phase transition from the old website to the new website, that it's as smooth as a transition as possible for you guys. So we're excited for this to eventually be released.
Yeah.
So thank you, Nathan. I also want to give a shout out because I saw Beth and Kevin Mahar are in here with the tree spotters in Boston. They were our Pheno champions like last year, and their group got mentioned in the 2022 annual report as well. So I just want to give you guys a shout out. I love hearing from you and everyone who's here. But yeah, right now I'd like to open it up for any questions or comments or experiences, or I'd just like to hear from you guys who have joined us. So you can answer in the Q of A. You could also click the raise hand button if you'd like to speak and let us know what questions that you have. We'd love to be able to hear from you.
And I also just noticed that Georgia has also joined us now. So you can give a shout out to Georgia. She represents the Washington Square Park Eco Projects, which is our Pheno champion this year. So thank you so much for joining us and all of your hard work.
Yeah. It really was incredible. Like it's always tricky with the Pheno champions because we're like, okay, yeah, we have our rubrics and all that, but everyone's stories are just so wonderful, and all of you put so much love into your projects. But we were just really impressed with the Washington State Park. Yes, we were really impressed with your program and your words and testimonials, and just really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Georgia, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, and also appreciate all of the wonderful engagement you do on social media too. We always see all of your great posts, and thank you for helping to educate everyone about phenology.
I'll do a little bit more of awkward pause so people can think about the questions that they have. But in the meantime, Erin, do you have anything that you would like to add to this?
I just want to say it's been a really fun week. I think, we did Phenology Week years and years ago, probably like 10 years ago now, more of like a local celebration. And Samantha and I were really inspired because we had all this stuff we wanted to share in the spring about the accomplishments of our observers, and we wanted to really just take the time and really focus in on that celebration. So we wanted to bring back Phenology Week, and I think we've been really happy with how it's gone. So I'm excited to make this a regular thing that we do going forward. And we hope it can grow even more in future years. And we'll also be asking for a little bit of feedback via our email today, just on if there's anything more that you want to see of a certain thing, like more webinars, more time to talk with staff, or more interaction with other phenology leaders or observers. So yeah, feel free to weigh in and give us your opinion on that, how we can improve this going forward. Oh, we did have a question. How can a local phenology program engage in producing research findings? Maybe as a white paper, have other groups done this?
That's Erin, you might have a little bit more familiarity with that because you've been working with the local phenology programs for so many years.
Yeah, so I would say, our goal is always by making all of the data available that you all Nature's Notebook observers collect, that researchers will come in and use your data. And so sometimes you also want to be involved in that process. And on the one hand, because the data are open access, we don't always know when a researcher is using your data. So it would be great to be able to, link you to that researcher while that's happening. But sometimes we don't even know that someone's using the data until the paper's out and we just kind of get an alert about it. But in terms of being more involved in doing the analysis yourself, Samantha mentioned we're really invested this year in that data analysis guidance project. That's one of our main things that we're going to be working on. We really want to put that, the ability to look at your data, understand the patterns into your hands as local phenology programs. So we're going to have a series of learning modules that walk you through everything from, when I download the Excel file with tens of thousands of rows, how do I interpret that? How do I understand that? And then all the way through to, I have this question I want to answer. What's the best way to, clean up my data to get it ready for analysis? And then how do I actually do the testing? We'll give you some probably statistical calculators that are online or tests that you can do easily in Excel, things like that, to actually get at those questions and then help you with interpretation. And then we'll have more guidance, improving that annual report that we have to help you actually write that up. And we're always interested in talking with you about that. If you're interested in being more involved in that process, feel free to reach out and we can, focus in on a few different local phenology programs data sets as we kind of develop these modules. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us on that. And then we did have another question about the time frame for the new website. That's something we all want to know. It is I'll let Nathan speak to it as well. But we have had some things we've had to push back the timeline a little bit. There's, as you're creating a new website, you uncover so many things just in the kind of underbelly of the data structure. And we've learned a lot about putting things on the cloud, kind of like a better way to back things up. And so it kind of uncovered this whole, not mess, but a whole bunch of things that we needed to improve to really make sure that we have a strong data infrastructure. And so we've been taking the steps to really improve everything that's kind of the foundation before we move forward on more of the content on the website. So I think most of that stuff's done now, and now we're in the testing phase. So I'll let Nathan say anything else you want to about that.
Yeah, I guess just to be clear on that, you are on the testing phases, and that take sometimes, because it's you start one test and then have to start over. So it's a cycle, I guess, that we still need to go through. But hopefully it's coming soon. It's exciting. We're getting near that. And we'll be communicating with the observers and I guess just everyone once we're ready to launch, and we'll let you all know when that's ready.
All right. Thank you again, just everyone, for joining us today, joining us this week, joining us from near and from afar. We just really appreciate you all, and we appreciate your engagement. And thank you, Erin, for putting that out there in case you do want to be involved in that data analysis project. But yeah, thank you so much. I did get one more question, Erin, if there's plans to maintain the Flickr photo site.
We actually have moved our photos to SmugMug. So I will, let me find that link. I know it's on the website somewhere, but just make sure that I have the right one. I think that this one will get you into the publicly accessible. So all of our phenophase photos now live on SmugMug, and there is a pretty nice folder system. It's organized by species, so you can check that out if you want to look for photos.
I'll let us all go, but yeah, please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you ever need support or guidance, or if you just want to share an observation. My very favorite emails is when I randomly get some bluebirds or some of the photos of your observations or stories from your observations. So keep sending those, keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. And just once again, just really thank you all so much. Really, none of this staying here for 15 years, continuing on, all the ways we've been able to grow have not been possible without all of your efforts. So just thank you again. With that, I'll let you go. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend, and a fantastic spring, you all. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.